Raksha Mantri makes a sudden stopover in Tehran while returning from Russia to meet Iranian Defense Minister. The visit is being considered strategically significant in view of the changing dynamics in West Asia. In a move towards return to normalcy in operations, Indian Railways to run additional 40 pairs of special trains from 12th of September, booking to start from 10th September, metro operations to resume from tomorrow in a phased manner. Centre releases ease of doing business ranking of the states. Andhra Pradesh tops the list, followed by Uttar Pradesh and Telangana. In India's battle against COVID-19, recovery rate rises to over 77%. Health Ministry exhorts Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka to focus on undertaking aggressive measures to break the chain of transmission and to keep mortality rate below 1%. In the US Open, Indo-Canadian pair of Rohan Bopanna and Denis Shapovalov reach men's doubles quarterfinals, beat German pair of Kevin Quartzy and Andreas Mies to keep India's hopes alive in the Grand Slam. Serena Williams reaches in the fourth round of women's singles. Good morning. You're watching DD News and I'm Preeti presenting the bulletin. In the next half an hour, we'll get to out of everything that's been making it to the headlines. Our top story first. In a sudden stopover, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh yesterday arrived in Tehran, where he will meet his Iranian counterpart, Brigadier General Amir Hatami, and discuss bilateral defence ties. Rajnath Singh's Tehran visit is being considered strategically significant in view of the ongoing tension in West Asia and the United States brokering a deal between Israel and UAE, much to Iran's dismay. India has strong ties with all the parties involved. The Iran visit is also significant in view of India considering the country as part of its extended neighborhood and also key to connectivity projects. The Chabahar project, where India has berths, provides connectivity to Afghanistan and Central Asian countries. Singh arrived in Tehran from Moscow after concluding his three-day visit to Russia, where he attended a meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization defense ministers. He also held bilateral talks with his counterparts from Russia, China, and the Central Asian countries, including Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan. The Indian Railways on Saturday announced to run 40 pairs of new special trains from September 12th, reservation for which will begin from 10th of September. Now, these will be running in addition to the 230 trains already in operation. We get to more in this report.
As Unlock 4 unfolds gradually, the Indian Railways have come up with a decision to start 80 new special trains. Trains are the first choice for Indian passengers who wish to travel to different parts of the country, as they are the most convenient and smooth option for them. The COVID-19 pandemic, however, has left the passengers waiting for their favorite mode of travel for a long time now. Millions of Indian Railways employees have proved to be corona warriors, as they made it possible for the railways to run even in the lockdown period in a limited manner. The Indian Railways have brought good news for passengers with the announcement of 40 pairs of new special trains that are set to run from September 12th. This was announced by Railways Minister Piyush Goyal via a tweet, along with a list of trains that will be running. The 80 new special trains will be fully reserved, bookings for which will begin from 10th of this month. These special trains will be connecting various parts of the country, including Dehradun, Ajmer, Jaipur, Jabalpur, Prayagraj, Bhagalpur, Gorakhpur, Gwalior, Muzaffarpur. Earlier, the railways had begun running 30 Rajdhani special trains that started from the 12th of May this year. While 200 special Mail Express trains are already on tracks since June 1st, Indian Railways made efforts to make the path easier for the passengers. Apart from this, in centres bid to ferry stranded migrant workers to their native states during COVID-19 lockdown, Indian Railways also started special Shramik trains on the occasion of Labour Day from 1st of May and transported lakhs of workers to their homes. With the operation of cargo parcel trains, The railways also set a record in the lockdown period by transporting life-saving medicines and essential items across the country. With bureau inputs, Rajesh Raj's report, DD India.
Meanwhile, Indian Railways will conduct the first stage of computer-based exams for notified vacancies from 15th of December 2020. Railway Recruitment Board had notified a total of 1.4 lakh vacancies for non-technical popular categories, level 1 posts and isolated and miscellaneous categories. Now there are 35,208 posts in non-technical popular categories like guards, office clerks, commercial clerks and others. 1,663 posts for isolated and ministerial categories such as steno and teachers, and also 1,03,769 for level 1 vacancies such as track maintainers and pointsmen. Also against the above vacancies, the board has received more than 2.4 crore applications. Scrutiny of the applications had been completed, but the process for further examination had got delayed due to COVID-related restrictions. The railway recruitment boards are committed to holding computer-based tests for all the notified vacancies and have already been actively assessing the ground situation amidst the pandemic. SOPs for conduct of examination for this magnitude are being framed. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman released the Ease of Doing Business rankings for the year 2019. Andhra Pradesh tops the list, while Uttar Pradesh and Telangana have secured second and the third position, bearing testimony to how the centre and state's commitment towards reforms is delivering results.
India is among the top 10 performers in improvement in World Bank Ease of Doing Business, and it was not possible without the deep reforms undertaken by states on the ground. The fourth edition of Ease of Doing Business state ranking was unveiled by Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman via video conferencing. In the overall state ranking, Andhra Pradesh has been selected as top performer in 2019, followed by Uttar Pradesh and Telangana. While releasing the report, Finance Minister said that due to commitment for reforms in centre and states, the world looks at India as a good destination for investment.
Many of our critics would say had one of the strictest lockdowns. Notwithstanding that, we've had very good inflow of FDI, and that is because as a destination, India with all its states stands out as a law-abiding but yet a very good destination for investment.
While applauding states for reforms undertaken, Union Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said that with cooperation on one hand and competition among states on the other, India will move faster towards $5 trillion economy by 2024-25. He also said that India has identified 24 sector products and can add 20 lakh crores manufacturing output in the next 5 years. The government will work on effective implementation of One District, One Product scheme.
We have a One Product, One District program, and will soon be unveiling a program where every district in the country will be focusing all its energies to expand the outreach of their production, of their special products, not only to the length and breadth of India, but to the entire world.
On this occasion, Minister of State for Commerce and Industry Hardeep Singh Puri said that following PM's clarion call for Atmanirbhar Bharat post-COVID, India will emerge as competitive and friendly destination and assume an assertive role in global supply chain. Ajay Mishra's report, DD India.
And on to some COVID-related stories. Central government has exhorted Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka to focus on breaking the chain of COVID-19 transmission and keeping the mortality rate below 1%. The states have been advised to proactively ensure higher testing, effective clinical management to lower the fatality rate and also save lives, along with effective and efficient monitoring at various levels. Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka account for about 46% of the active cases reported nationally over the last 24 hours. Maharashtra alone accounts for 22% of all the active cases. Similarly, these three states account for 52% of all the COVID-related deaths across the country over the past 24 hours. Maharashtra alone accounted for 35% of the deaths reported in the last 24 hours. The Union Home Ministry also highlighted the districts of concern in each state. 11 districts in Maharashtra were highlighted, where need for effective containment and contact tracing was emphasized. In Andhra Pradesh, 2 districts of concern were highlighted, while 4 districts were highlighted in Karnataka. In cumulative terms, 5 states account for more than 60% of the total active cases in the country. Maharashtra contributes maximum to the active caseload, followed by Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Of the total deaths in the country, 70% are recorded in just 5 states of Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Delhi and Andhra Pradesh. And up next, we'll take a look at COVID-19 situation across the world. Across the worst affected states in the country first, Maharashtra continues to top the chart, recording 20,489 new cases yesterday, while 10,801 patients were discharged. 312 patients died in the past 24 hours. So far, there are 2,20,661 active cases in the state. In Tamil Nadu, 5,870 persons were tested positive yesterday. 61 deaths were reported, while 5,859 patients were discharged in the past 24 hours. Tamil Nadu government has promulgated an ordinance making violations of guidelines on COVID-19 lockdown and preventive measures compoundable offences. In Karnataka, 9,746 new cases were reported yesterday, while 9,102 patients were discharged. 128 patients died in the past 24 hours. So far, there are 99,617 active cases in the state. And in the national capital, Delhi, 2,973 new cases were reported yesterday. 1,920 patients recovered, while 25 died in the past 24 hours. Currently, there are 19,870 active cases in the state. And after almost 5 months shutdown due to coronavirus pandemic, metro services will resume across the country from tomorrow. In a graded resumption of Delhi metro services would be done with line-wise, with specific timings in 3 stages between tomorrow and September 12th. Yellow line from Samepur Badli to Huda city centre will be operational from tomorrow. Blue line from Dwarka to Noida Electronic City or Vaishali, and the pink line from Majlis Park to Shiv Vihar will resume from September 9th, while red, green and violet lines will resume from September 10th. Services on Airport Express line will resume from 12th September. In the first stage, Delhi Metro services will operate in 2 shifts, that is 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. In the second stage, the timing, both morning and evening, will be increased to 6 hours each. Finally, in the third stage, metro services will operate from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Now, according to the guidelines by Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, the stations in containment zones would remain closed. Only asymptomatic people will gain entry, and then they will be under a hawk-eyed vigil on wearing masks and keeping distance. No tokens will be issued and only smart cards will work. Inside coaches too, strict social distancing will apply and masks need to be in place. The services of Noida to Greater Noida Metro, also known as the Aqua Line, will also undertake several anti-COVID precautions like commuters maintaining social distancing and having face cover in place. Further, strict penalties will be imposed, including a fine of ₹500 on commuters found travelling without face masks. Now, those caught spitting will have to pay ₹100 for the first time and ₹500 for any subsequent occurrence. And Bengaluru Namma Metro will resume services on the Purple Line from tomorrow. New safety guidelines on social distancing and various other measures have been adopted to ensure the metro ride remains safe for commuters. The trains will operate between 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. until September 11th, after which trains will run from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. On the other hand, Green Line from Nagasandra to Yelachenahalli will resume services only on September 9th. Hyderabad Metro will resume its operations in a graded manner between tomorrow and September 9th. The stations falling under containment zones, that is Gandhi Hospital, Bharatnagar, Musapet, Mushirabad and Yusufgara, will continue to remain shut. Face masks, social distancing, thermal screening, alternate seating, hand sanitizing, etc. are going to be the new normals at the stations. Now, as per the SOPs released by Hyderabad Metro Rail Limited, only asymptomatic people will be allowed inside metro stations, and anyone with slight symptoms will be referred to the nearest COVID care center or hospital for testing and medical attention. Smart card and mobile QR ticket with cashless or online transactions are encouraged. Ahmedabad Metro will also resume operations as the trains will run for 6.5 kilometers tomorrow and day after. The first train will kickstart operations at 11 a.m. while the second ride will start at 4:25 p.m. Now, this sort of a trial run by the officials before they start full-fledged operations, and all the SOPs will be followed during the trial and full-fledged runs. Restricted services on the first 2 days is to examine that all precautionary systems related to COVID-19 are in place and if passengers are following rules related to masks and social distancing. Wearing a mask is compulsory and failure in doing so will invite a fine. Trains will also be sanitized after every trip. The commuters will be given sanitized tokens. Scientists at the Institute of Genomics and Integrative Biology have developed a rapid and sensitive method to detect COVID-19 infection in 30 minutes using a mass spectrometer. Now, this method involves direct detection of the viral peptides, a compound consisting of 2 or more amino acids linked in a chain. Now, the samples for the study were provided by National Center for Disease Control, while Indraprastha Institute of Information Technology was involved in computational work. Our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya spoke to chief scientist working on this project, Dr. Shantanu Sengupta.
This is a path-breaking effort. Mass spectrometry, testing it on people, and that too on a huge number of people. How is it different than RT-PCR?
It is completely different from RT-PCR in the sense that in RT-PCR you use RNA. It is converted to DNA and then it is amplified and you get the results in RT-PCR. In contrast to that, in mass spec we use proteins. And we actually don't care about the integrity of the proteins because finally we have to degrade the proteins. So what we do is we collect the swabs, put it in the tube containing a detergent. So immediately the virus is killed. That increases the safety of the process, and then we can bring it to the lab. We just precipitate out the proteins and then digest it with an enzyme which is called trypsin, and then directly run it in the mass spec. So unlike any other methods, this is a direct detection of the virus from the nasopharyngeal swab. All other techniques will require amplification or hybridization or binding. This is probably the only technique which can do a direct detection.
So you talk about the method and its efficacy. Tell us how much time it will take from collecting the swab and getting the test result done. How long it will take?
So for us in the lab atmosphere, we have seen that from the swab to getting the result will take around half an hour. That's for one sample. But then in that, say 1.5 hours, we will be able to do 30. Right, so effective time comes down. The first sample will take 30 minutes.
Sir, also by when can we expect this system of testing in market?
So, there is no patent in this because we are just detecting peptides and peptides don't have any patent. So the method is established. We would like companies to come, look at it and see it, and then from there it can be taken. Also, we need permission from ICMR to go ahead. I think our institute is trying to get that in an emergency basis.
Tell us about the monetary aspect. When you talk about the money and the finance of testing, you said that it is going to come down a lot. So tell us how much as of now it's going to cost?
Right now the consumable cost, we have only 3 consumable cost. One is the column, mass spec column, one is the solvent, and the other is the trypsin. Cost of solvent and trypsin is very low. The major cost is of the column. With one column you can run about 1,000 to 1,500 tests, right? And if we buy one column at a time, it costs us 60,000 rupees, which means 60 rupees per test. In our lab, excluding your manpower and the machine cost, the consumable running cost comes to about 100 rupees, 100 to 110 rupees. But if it is produced in mass scale, I'm quite confident that people can do it in much less.
That was Indian scientist Dr. Shantanu Sengupta, who has developed this mass spectrometry test, which is going to be a path-breaking effort in the fight against COVID-19. With cameraman Sumit Nautyal, this is Tapush Bhattacharya, DD India, Delhi.
Pakistan yet again initiated unprovoked ceasefire violation along the line of control in Naugaam sector in Kupwara district yesterday by firing mortars and other weapons. Befitting response was given by the Indian side. One soldier was martyred while 2 others sustained injuries and are being treated at 92 Base Hospital. Their condition is stable. And the world is suffering from coronavirus pandemic. There are a total of 2,70,42,955 cases of COVID-19 worldwide, while 8,82,985 people have died of the virus. 1,91,46,341 patients have recovered so far. US is the worst affected country by COVID-19. Now, according to Worldometer, after 40,543 new cases of COVID-19 were reported in the last 24 hours, the total tally of cases has reached to 64,29,600 in the US. In the last 24 hours, 706 people died and 1,92,817 patients have also lost their lives so far in the US. And Brazil ranks second in terms of COVID-19 infection. After more than 31,000 new cases in the last 24 hours, the total cases has reached to 41,23,000. Total of 1,26,203 people have lost their lives, with 619 deaths in the last 24 hours. Let's talk of sports now. In the US Open, Rohan Bopanna entered the quarterfinals of the men's doubles, keeping India's hopes alive at the Grand Slam. Indo-Canadian pair of Rohan Bopanna and Denis Shapovalov beat German pair of Kevin Krawitz and Andreas Mize to reach men's doubles quarterfinals in New York. After losing the first set, Bopanna-Shapovalov made brilliant comeback to beat the German pair by 4-6, 6-4 and 6-3. Earlier, Bopanna and his Canadian partner advanced to the second round after a straight set win over American rivals Ernesto Escobedo and Noah Rubin in their tournament opener on Friday. Now, Bopanna is the lone surviving Indian in the tournament after the exits of Sumit Nagal and Divij Sharan. In the women's singles, Serena Williams came back from a slow start to beat Sloane Stephens for 2-6, 6-2 and 6-2 in the US Open's third round. She will face number 15 Maria Sakkari of Greece in the fourth round. The Union Sports Ministry has extended the contract of 9 foreign coaches and support personnel, including High Performance Director of Athletics, with an eye on the 2024 Olympics and Commonwealth Asian Games 2022. In July, the ministry had decided to draw up extended contracts for foreign and Indian coaches in alignment with the Olympic cycle. This decision was taken by the ministry with focus on the 2024 and 2028 Olympics and to ensure Olympic-bound athletes are able to train consistently with one coach and therefore work on improving their performance. The performance of the coaches will be reviewed annually, indicated by the performance of athletes in major international events. That's it in this edition of the news this hour. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.